Have you ever wondered why the Scorpion energy is so intense, so deep, and at the same time so feared? Is it just coincidence? Or is there a spiritual prophetic reason, perhaps even divine, for that? According to Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, Scorpio is not just a sign. It is a seal, a silent pact between the spirit and the invisible, an old force that did not come into the world to please, came to confront, transform, tear veils. Scorpio carries a dangerous energy not because he chose, but because he inherited. He inherited from the cosmos, from the Akashic records, from a time when souls were marked with missions that not everyone would have the courage to accept. That's why Scorpios feel what no one feels, suffer silence truths that burn inside. And yet, they are still standing, because this strength is not of this world. Scorpion energy is a spiritual code, and if you feel it inside you, this depth that no one understands, perhaps is about to find out why. There is something hidden behind the pain, the fury, the silence of Scorpio, something that goes far beyond common astrology, something that Edgar Cayce tried to reveal in his visions. And in this video, let's dive where few have the courage to go. Let's decode the true spiritual mission of Scorpio. But first of all, have you ever felt like carrying a power that can heal or destroy? Comment here, I carry this energy, because perhaps this message is finding you for a reason. Now take a deep breath, because what comes next is not for anyone. If this energy has already pulled inside you, if you ever felt it carries something no one else understands, comment now. This energy lives on me. Does not underestimate the power to recognize. Each comment here is more than an interaction. It is a ritual of spiritual confirmation, a way of saying to the universe, I know who I am. I accept my essence. And if you are feeling that this video was made exactly for you, know that this is not by chance. Nothing is. There are messages that only arrive when we are ready, and if you are watching here, it is because you are ready to hear what needs to be revealed. Leaving your like now is like sealing a pact with this truth. It is to say, I get this message. It is activating this knowledge within you, and believe me, it helps this message to come to those who also need to wake up. This is how we create a spiritual circle of souls that carry the same frequency. Subscribe now, because what you will find out in the next few minutes and in the next videos will resonate with your parts that may be dormant. And yes, we will continue to reveal the hidden truths of each sign, the spiritual missions, the secrets that the ancients knew, but that the world forgot. Then get ready, because now let's get in true pain and in true power that only those born under the sign of Scorpio can understand. You have already felt as if you carry an energy that no one can understand. And sometimes, not even, as if there was something within you that pulsates stronger, reacts before reason. You realize what others do not see. You may have learned to silence this, to adapt, not to show what you feel. Because yes, feeling everything with such intensity can scare. But what if this intensity is not a mistake? What if it's the biggest of your gifts? Scorpion carries one of the deepest, intense, and spiritually dangerous energies of the Zodiac. Not because it wants power, but because it was forged inside it. The universe does not deliver this type of load to anyone. Only souls marked by transmutation are chosen to cross the cycles of death and rebirth, alive. You are not here coincidentally. There is something about you that attracts you to this kind of truth, for this kind of mystery. Because Scorpion is not for the surfaces. He is called by the depths, the shadows, the most secret recklessness of the human soul. He feels what no one says, realizes what no one dare to show, and yet it is still silent, watching, absorbing, and carrying, without complaining. This silent burden that many Scorpions live is nothing more than the reflection of the mission they carry, a spiritual mission that involves cleaning patterns, destroying what is not serves, confronting what is hidden. Scorpio is the sign of regeneration. But to regenerate, first you need to touch the bottom, tear veils, and that scares the others. It even scares those who carry this mission. This is why Scorpios are often misunderstood, seen as cold, calculating, distant, when in fact they are just protecting something sacred. Within them, there is an ancient soul, marked by experiences that go beyond this life. And according to Edgar Cayce, the man who saw beyond time. Those who are born under the sign of Scorpion were chosen to deal with the more subtle and dangerous energies of the terrestrial plane. They are, in essence, the invisible alchemists, those who transform pain into wisdom, empty in connection, anger in healing. But this transformation is not clean, it is not beautiful, it's raw, it is intense, and that is why few understand what it is to be a real Scorpion. Have you ever felt that way? Too intense? Too deep? As if it carried a power that, if used, could hurt, and so it preferred to isolate yourself, stay in yours, keep everything hidden, perhaps because you felt that if others saw what you really carry, they wouldn't know how to handle it, and you are right. Not everyone is prepared to deal with Scorpio frequency, because it is not made to be accepted, it is made to be felt, and who feels never forgets again. Edgar Cayce said that Scorpio has access to hidden levels of consciousness. These are people who, even unknowingly, act as living portals. Its presence already changes the environment. Your word can heal or destroy, and this is a spiritual weight, because everything that Scorpion touches, it transforms. Nothing is what it was again. This goes for people, environments, situations, relationships. Everything that enters the life of a Scorpion goes through a kind of silent judgment. Whatever is true, it is. Whatever fragile, collapses. This is not coldness. It is frequency. Scorpio does not accept lies, disguise, superficial game, so it suffers so much. This is why it is tested early on. So it attracts limitation situations where you need to choose, either destroys or reborn. This energy is not easy to carry. It requires wisdom, time, silence. That's why Scorpions often feel alone, even surrounded by people, because what they live inside few imagine. But you may be here because you are starting to understand that this weight is not a mistake. It's a call to access what Cayce called spiritual memory, a place where the soul's experiences are kept over various incarnations. Scorpio has access to this, so it is so easy to deal with the hidden, with what is beyond matter. It is the sign that speaks to the dead, who perceives signs, who dreams of what is to come, and this is all part of your mission. But beware, this mission has a price, because the more you access, the more you need to deal with the dark side of existence, not only of others, but yours too. Scorpio is called to face his own monsters, your own shadows, not to destroy, but to transcend. This is the true essence of the dangerous energy it carries, the power of self, transformation, a power that, if ignored, can turn against you, but if you accept it, you can open doors to a level of consciousness that few play. Cayce claimed that this energy was one of the hardest to balance, but also one of the most powerful, because once Scorpio understands who he is, he becomes unstoppable. And that's why you're here, to remember, to feel, to recognize. Maybe you have lived things that no one would understand, situations that required you to be stronger than you wanted, and yet you survived. This is not weakness. It is a sign of mission, of preparation, of spiritual heritage. And now, it's time to understand why it all happened. Why do you feel what you feel? Why you never fit? The next step in this journey will show you what is behind this pain that marked your life, and why, yes, you carry an invisible seal that only those chosen by Scorpion can sustain. If you felt this here, comment below, "I accept my essence," or write, "I carry this energy." I want to see who really vibrates at this frequency, because what comes now will show you that your pain has always had a purpose, and that your soul, I already knew that. Now, if at some point in this video you felt something inside you wake up, if a phrase, a word, or even silence has touched an old hidden pain, which you may not even know you still carried, so maybe that's not just a video, maybe it's a sign. And if so, I want to make you an invitation. Not a simple invitation, but an opportunity to understand what is behind all that you have always felt and never knew how to explain. The digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign and How to Heal Them Before 2026, was created exactly for people like you. People who know they came to the world with something different, that feel too much, that perceive the cycles repeating, but have not yet found the key to break. This book shows what many hide, that each sign carries a deep pain, an invisible brand that shapes destinations, delaying relationships, and even blocks ways. And when you find out what yours is, it all starts to make sense. Access is temporary, and if you felt something here today, it's because your soul is ready. The link is in the first comment fixed. Read, feel, and start the liberation that is already underway within you. Edgar Cayce, known as the Sleeping Prophet, made no common predictions. His visions accessed dimensions that surpassed time and rational understanding. In their trance states, Cayce saw souls not as simple individuals, but as living pieces in a much larger spiritual board. And when he spoke of Scorpio, his words were loaded with a different weight. There was no neutrality. There was reverence. It was careful. According to him, those born under the sign of Scorpio were not only intense, they were destined. Souls chosen to carry the most dangerous and most sacred spiritual codes in human existence. They did not come to the world to be popular or understood. They came to guide, to transform, to purify chaos through deep dive into pain. Scorpio is the archetype of death and rebirth, and we are not just talking about physical death, but of symbolic death. The death of the ego, of illusion, lies. Scorpio is called to go through many internal deaths throughout life, often not understanding why. Loses people, loses places, loses parts of yourself. But each loss has a hidden purpose, making room for regeneration. And that's where Cayce saw Scorpio essence as one of the most important for collective evolution. He said that Scorpio carries in himself the antidote and poison, what destroys and what heals, all at the same time. And that is why these souls often live in extremes, because they were shaped in pressure, trauma, silence that screams inside and no one else listens. How many times have you felt it wasn't from here? What was your way of feeling much deeper than the world endured? That, while others cry for small things, do you deal with emotional storms that would swallow anyone? Cayce believed this was not a coincidence. It was preparation. A Scorpio soul is prepared even before it is born. In higher spiritual plans, she already accepts the mission of guiding others in painful processes, to be the mirror of truth that others do not want to look. That's why your presence bothers you. That's why you attract people who need to change but resist. Because without realizing it, your spiritual energy begins to activate what you need to die. And that scares. But that is also why you can't go out. Cayce said that the biggest danger to Scorpio is to forget who he is. Deny your nature. Try to fit into patterns that were not made for him. When Scorpio represses her energy, she turns against her. Vera auto-sabotage. It becomes chronic anguish. It turns into a contained anger that poisons the body, the soul, the relationships. But when Scorpio accepts his role as a transformation channel, everything changes. The pain becomes power. Silence becomes wisdom. The past, even painful, becomes a healing tool. And what was once a burden turns into purpose. Cayce saw Scorpio as someone who, in other lives, had already been started in hidden spiritual knowledge. Someone who in the past had access to temples, secret orders, healing practices, and magic. And that is why many people of Scorpio feel an immediate connection with themes such as spirituality, past lives, astrology, intuition, oracles, energy transmutation, mysteries of the unconscious and invisible forces. It is as if all this is already inside them, just waiting to be awakened. Scorpio doesn't have to learn. You need to remember. Remember who it is. Remember what you carry. Remember that your pain was never in vain. That every loss, every separation, every emotional break had a greater spiritual motive, activating what Cayce called the divine spark of transformation. This spark, when lit, makes Scorpion a direct channel between the physical world and the highest spiritual plans. Your intuition begins to get sharper. The signs are more evident. Dreams become messages. The meetings are no longer coincidental. It all starts to make sense. But it is not always easy to support this awakening. Because with each new level of consciousness, Scorpio is tested again, as if the universe asked, "Are you sure you want to see all this? Are you ready to carry this power?" And it is at this moment that many Scorpions retreat, are afraid, hide, because being a transformation channel is not comfortable. It's lonely. It is intense. It is often painful. But Cayce made it clear, it is precisely these souls that, When they remain firm, change the fate of families, communities, even generations. They break ancestral patterns, cure traumas that were passed for centuries. They face what others avoid, and in doing so, they open the way for others to hear themselves. So when you doubt yourself, remember, your path has never been common, its history is not random, and its sensitivity is not weakness. It is a spiritual instrument. Scorpio came to feel what others can't stand, to purify the invisible, to regenerate with presence, with silence, with look. And that's why your journey is so intense. Because what you carry, it's not from this world. If you have come here and feel that these words have spoken to your parts that you can never explain, then write in the comments, "My soul remembers," or "I carry the healing and the poison." Leave these phrases like a seal, an anchor, a confirmation to the universe that you are ready to remember who you are, and share in the comments. What was the moment of your life when you felt that something inside you had awakened? I want to see who here carries this Scorpio brand in the soul, because there is still much to be revealed. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign and How to Heal Them before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings in your daily life. Attention! The stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. The Scorpio soul is not born light. It already comes to the marked world, as if carrying between the lines of the spirit an ancestral memory that cannot be erased. Early on, Scorpios realize that life will not be simple. Nothing comes easy. Nothing is shallow. Everything has layers. Everything hides something. And this perception is not only rational, it is visceral. It is as if the soul recognized the pain before it even reached, as if anticipating chaos, as if you feel the break before the cut happens. Scorpio has a sensitivity that does not warn, she reveals. And that hurts, because this intuition is not just to protect, she also hurts. She shows what no one wanted to see. She unmasks, she confronts, she exposes. And when there is no preparation to deal with this kind of sensitivity, Scorpio learns to shut up. And in that silence, the scars arise. Often, invisible to others but eternal within themselves. Scorpios suffer repeated losses throughout their lives. They lose friends, homes, loves, dreams. But more than that, they lose versions of themselves, because with each pain, they are reborn different. With each rupture, one old part dies, and another, stronger, harder, more hidden, takes the place. It is as if each trauma were an initiation, a spiritual test, a reminder of the universe. You didn't come here to live a common life, and that generates revolt, a feeling of spiritual injustice, as if the world were too unfair, too heavy, too cruel. But deep down, even in the midst of anger, there is a part of the Scorpio soul that knows that all this has a why. Scorpio is a sign that does not deal with the superficial. And that's exactly why the evidence you face are not superficial either. Limit situations are constant. Moments where everything collapses, where nothing remains, where the floor disappears, and all that remains is the silence of emptiness. But it is in this emptiness that the Scorpion soul is forged. Not in victories, but in losses. Not in easy love, but in deep solitude. Not in recognition, but in oblivion. Because while the world seeks light, Scorpio understands darkness. While the others run away from the pain, it dives. While many pretend it's okay, Scorpio looks into the eyes of chaos and faces. And this is what makes it so spiritually necessary, because he carries the courage to cross what others avoid. And each scar is proof of this. But people rarely see this. Come the control, the strength, the penetrating look, but they don't see what's behind. They do not see the fear of opening and being misunderstood. They do not see the needy lack, the old trauma, the injured child who still lives inside. Scorpio learns to be his own armor, learn to survive in silence, smiling on the outside when bleeding inside. Because you know that you are too much, people won't know how to handle. And that's where isolation is born. The emotional distance, the false coldness. But inside, pulsates a heart that feels everything, that loves deeply, that donates completely, which protects with a rare intensity, but only after you trust. And to trust, Scorpio needs to feel that there is truth there. Any trace of falsehood makes him back immediately, because their scars taught not to expose themselves. Therefore, many Scorpios develop an almost supernatural sense of observation. They don't say everything. They know. They feel. They decipher. They analyze the silences, the eyes, the minimum gestures, because they have learned in Mara that intuition is their greatest weapon and their only defense. And that's why, even silent, they carry such a strong presence. Scorpio energy is magnetic because it carries depth. It is the kind of presence that bothers those who live in superficiality, because she reveals without having to say, and that, once again, brings loneliness, because few can stand to stay for a long time next to those who do not allow masks. And Scorpion can't stand masks. Scorpion pains are not just emotional, they are spiritual. They are soul pains, of those who carry memories that are not explained, of those who feel pain that have no name, from those who perceive energies without knowing where they come from. And when you try to talk about it, it's judged, ridiculed, called exaggerated, dramatic, paranoid. But Scorpions are not dramatic. They are deep. The world is that it lives too anesthetized to understand the depth of what they feel. And when you feel everything in high volume, everything impacts you more. A word hurts. A silence look. A removal destroys. A touch heals. The energy they absorb is so intense that if they do not learn to protect themselves spiritually, they get sick. And this is more proof that life imposes. Learning to take care of its own energy. Learn not to carry everything. Filtering. Saying no. Release. Understanding that the role of Scorpio is not to save everyone, is to transform. Yes, but without self-destructing. Because he wants to heal, he ends up attracting broken people. And if you don't realize that in time, it ends up breaking together. Because those who carry the archetype of regeneration need to know how to regenerate. And this is a lesson that life teaches hardly, through pain, through losses, through the necessary breakups. If you feel you are living exactly this process of pain, loss, spiritual trial, write in the comments, "My soul resists." Or if you feel you are starting to awaken to your inner strength even in the chaos, write, "I'm reborn." I want to read in the comments who here carries these invisible scars, who feels that it was born for something bigger even if they still do not understand what. Because your story, even full of falls, is preparing you for something that others do not see. And what comes next will show exactly why your pain was not in vain. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign and How to Heal Them Before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings in your daily life. Attention! The stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. Scorpion is not dangerous because it destroys. It is dangerous because it transforms. And the transformation, as necessary as it is, almost always scares. Because she does not ask for permission. It arrives, breaks, interrupts, tears. Scorpion does not have the energy of maybe. He is yes or no, the beginning or the end, all or nothingness. So when this energy comes into play, it does not tolerate what is false, which is shallow, which is mask. Scorpio is a spiritual detector of lies. You don't need anyone to say anything. He feels. It absorbs. He looks in the background, not from the eyes, but of the soul. And that's why so many people feel intimidated by their presence even without understanding why. Because unconsciously, they realize that in front of Scorpio, there is no way to hide anything. Scorpio's dangerous energy is not aggressive. It is too deep for it. She is subtle, silent, but devastating. Because while other signs are still trying to understand what they feel, Scorpio already knows. I've seen it. It has already crossed the darkness. It is the sign that is not afraid to look inside and see what no one wants to see, unless anger, unwilling desire, hidden resentment, rooted fear. Scorpio not only sees this in others, he feels it in himself. He lives it every day, carrying this psychic sensitivity as if it were a curse, until you realize that it is actually a gift. The truth is that Scorpio moves between worlds. He has his feet in the physical world, but his soul is always touching the invisible. He perceives energy changes, presents events, dreams of symbols that do not understand rationally, but feels. that they are messages, and are, because he is, for essence, a spiritual channel. Not any channel, but one of the oldest and most powerful of the Zodiac. And that makes him dangerous, not for the good, but for what is covered, for what is sustained in the lie, for everything that needs to fall. Because where Scorpio passes, which has no root, collapses. And this is not free destruction. This is sacred transformation. But this power comes at a price, because being the sign that touches on what is forbidden is not easy. It is being the one who breaks taboos, who confronts patterns, who questions the rules imposed. It is being seen as rebellious, as intense, as negative, when in fact, what Scorpion does is just bring out what was already hidden. And there is nothing more spiritual than that, because every true cure begins in truth, and all truth begins with a deep look on the shadow. Scorpio is the bridge between light and darkness. He does not reject either. He understands that both there are, and that one depends on the other. And that's exactly what makes you one of the most transformative presences that someone can have around. A awakening. Scorpion transforms the lives of people around him without saying a word. Your energy speaks before him. Its vibration affects the environment. He arrives and things reorganize, even if no one understands how or why. But to reach this level, he must first transform himself. And this is the most challenging part, because the Scorpion energy is not made to be controlled, but to be channeled. When he is not aware of this, he sabotes himself, accumulates resentment, creates emotional blocks, enters destructive standards, and all this, not knowing what to do with the power it carries. This power is like liquid fire, invisible but capable of burning everything inside. This is why it is so important that Scorpio learn to master his spiritual energy. Understand that you don't have to react to everything. You don't have to keep everything. You don't have to carry the world on your back alone. When he learns to use this energy as a healing tool, instead of defense, he becomes unbeatable. His word now has the power to awaken consciousness. His gaze becomes a mirror of the soul, your presence an anchor for those who are lost, and this is priceless. But to reach this point, it is necessary to go through the trials, by the losses, for the restarts, by the silences, for the pains no one sees. Scorpio needs to face their own shadows before helping others do the same. You need to understand that your pain has purpose, that your deep look is not a weight, it is a key, that your silence is not weakness, it is preparation. Scorpion is the guardian of what is hidden, and those who keep secrets of the universe does not live a common life, lives in layers, lives at different frequencies. It lives with the soul always in the process of death and rebirth. This dangerous energy is not something to fear. It's something to respect, and especially something to recognize, because as long as you escape her, she will chase you. But when you accept it, it transforms you. And when you change, everything around you changes too, because you are no longer someone who reacts to the world and becomes someone who transforms you. If you got here and felt that this energy is yours, comment now. I am the bridge between worlds, or my truth transforms. Leave these words in the comments as a sign that you recognize the strength you carry, and tell me, at what time of your life did you feel that nothing else would it be like before? I want to read your story, because what comes now will play even deeper. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign and How to Heal Them Before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings in your daily life. Attention! The stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. The mission of Scorpions could never be common. This is not a light way, nor a journey where everything makes sense right away. In fact, the Scorpio soul already comes to the world carrying invisible marks, as if it had gone through countless lives where pain was used as a spiritual cut tool. And this is not by chance. Scorpio was not born to live asleep. It carries a deep code, an energy brand that pulsates in the invisible field, announcing that something needs to change, and that it is the instrument of this change. The modern world tries to silence the Scorpions because it does not know how to deal with what they cannot control. Society tries to anesthetize those who feel too much, label those who see what no one wants to see, and isolate those who vibrate at a frequency that exposes everything that is poorly resolved. But the truth is, that Scorpio did not come to fit. It came to break molds, to disappoint toxic patterns, to free souls who live trapped in systems that do not honor spiritual truth. They are the dark healers, as Cayce said, those who do not offer light with sweet words, but with firm presence. They are those who put their finger on the wound not out of evil, but because they know that only the real healing process begins. Scorpion energy does not caress the surface. It invades the depths. She active, she catalyzes. And that's why many Scorpions, not even knowing why, were always those who caused changes in everything they played. Have you noticed this in your life? What, even in silence? Your presence arouses something in people? That you became a confidant of heavy stories, deep secrets, pains no one else listened to? That your energy attracts who needs healing even if it costs your peace? This is no coincidence. This is mission. Cayce said that Scorpions cleanse collective karma with their own pain. This means that they not only face the demon themselves, but also absorb imbalance patterns around family, ancestral, social to transform them within themselves. They are like living karmic filters, and so they suffer so much, because they often don't even know where so much intensity comes from, so much weight, so much darkness. But it comes, and it's not personal. It is energetic. It is spiritual. It is as if the universe said, you are ready to deal with it, even if you donate. And Scorpio accepts. He accepts without realizing it. He does not complain, because he was born with this silent conscience that there is something bigger at stake. Even when it is in crisis, even when you feel lost, even when you want to disappear from the world, a part of yours knows that there is a purpose, that none of this is in vain. And it is this part that supports its mission, because it is larger than logic, larger than the ego, larger than human desires. The hidden mission of the Scorpions is to guide souls, but not guide them with light at the end of the tunnel. Guide them inside the tunnel, help them cross the dark, facing fear, to face the shadow itself. And for that, he must have already made this path in himself. The pain, the trauma, the deep silences, all shape Scorpio as an initiate, as a spiritual alchemist, as an exorcist of invisible standards. It is he who realizes what is wrong without anyone saying. It is he who feels the lie in the air, the manipulation between the lines, the imbalance in relationships. And it is also the one who often chooses the isolation, because you know that to fulfill your mission you need to protect your energy. You need to be clear. You need to strengthen your soul. After all, he is not here just by himself. He is all that will be touched by his vibration. And the more conscious he becomes this mission, the stronger it manifests itself. Synchronics increase. Spiritual encounters intensify. Ancient pains begin to reveal hidden purposes. And the Scorpio begins to remember who he is. Remember the past lives. Remember that the world is not just matter. It is not just appearance. It starts to see everything in multiple layers, reading the energy behind the words, to feel the field before entering the environment. This is all part of your mission as a living portal, as a bridge between realities, as an agent of regeneration. But it takes courage. Courage to assume this role. Courage to no longer hide. Courage to speak when everyone silences. Courage to feel when everyone runs away. Courage to support an energy that many do not understand, but which transforms everything that touches. And you who are listening to this now, maybe you are at this moment of the journey, the moment the pieces start to fit, where the pain begins to make sense, where silences gain meaning, and where the soul whispers, you already know who it is. Now, it's time to be. If you felt that this passage has touched deep parts of your essence, write in the comments, I am the healer of the shadow, or my pain has mission. Choose the phrase that most vibrates with your moment. Leave it registered here as an activation portal, and tell me, when your life began to realize that your pain was greater than a personal experience. I want to read you. I want to know who here is ready to assume this mission that the world does not see, but that the universe recognizes, because what comes now will reveal even more about this force you carry. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee. Now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign and How to Heal Them Before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings in your daily life. Attention, the stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now. and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. Maybe you have never been able to explain exactly what you feel. You may have grown up feeling a little different from others, more intense, deeper, more sensitive to things no one seemed to notice. From an early age, everything around him seemed to have more weight. The emotions were not light. The silences were not just empty. They had a voice. They were present. People said one thing, but you felt another one. And even without fully understanding, you already knew. I knew when something was wrong. I knew when someone was lying. He knew when a place carried a heavy energy. He knew, even if no one confirmed. This is not imagination. This is spiritual sensitivity. It is raw intuition. It is the silent mark of those who carry Scorpio energy. The signs of this energy do not always appear clearly. Sometimes they come in the form of goosebumps you feel when hearing certain words, as if any ancient memory were activated within you. Words like renaissance, mystery, shadow, healing, magic, energy, deep, portals, truth, hidden, seem to arouse something you don't know where it comes from, but that crosses you with strength. At other times, they appear in your dreams. And these dreams, however strange, have a powerful spiritual symbolism. Dreams with death, transformation, dark water, tunnels, with portals, emotional rescues, with people who have already left. All this is no chance. It is communication of the invisible. It is your soul trying to remember who she is. And if you are someone who has difficulty opening, even feeling everything with intensity, that is also a sign. Scorpions hide their own intuition because they know that not everyone is ready to deal with it. They pretend not to see, not feel, not realize, but inside they are always watching, listening with your eyes, touching with the soul, silently decoding what is behind appearances. And even if they don't understand rationally, they know when they need to move away. You know when someone's energy doesn't match yours. They know when they are in a place that sucks instead of adding. You know, they always knew. Another strong sign of those who carry this energy is magnetism. Even when you try to be discreet, people notice you, look for you. They feel pulled by you unknowingly. Why? They confess to you deep things without you, open almost automatically. And often you hear, "I have never told you anyone," or "I don't know why I'm telling you that." But you know, because somehow you have always served as a channel for the healing of the other, even when I still didn't understand what I was doing, even when I just wanted to protect yourself, even when I just wanted to be at peace. But your presence heals, and that's why she also scares. You don't have to do anything scandalous to change the energy of an environment. Just be there. Sometimes your silence speaks 1,000 words. Sometimes your absence is felt more than the presence of many. And it's not about ego, it is about energy. It is about the spiritual frequency you carry. And if you are here, listening to these words, it is because this energy inside you is starting to awaken. You are starting to push you more strongly to your true path. A path that, yes, requires courage, but it also offers power, truth, power, in depth, of regeneration. This energy is not for everyone. It requires commitment to the soul. It forces you to look inside, facing what others prefer to hide, to transform ancestral patterns, touching old pains, heal them and follow. It is a spiritual call, a call that comes with tests, but also activations. And when you start listening to this call clearly, everything changes. The way you see people change, the way you relate changes, the way you perceive time, the cycles, the meetings, the mismatches, everything has a greater meaning. You begin to realize that coincidences are not coincidences, that the delays of life were actually deliverances, that what seemed punishment was in fact preparation. It all starts to fit, and you understand, nothing was in vain. So if at some point on this journey you felt a sudden desire to disappear in the world, be aware that this is also a symptom of those who carry this energy. Because many times, before reborn, Scorpio needs to die symbolically. You need to get away. You need to stay in the cocoon. You need to live the mourning of the old version of yourself, and that can take time. But when it emerges, it is no longer the same. He comes back with purpose, clearly, tightly, and especially with awareness of the power it carries. If you have gotten here, and these words are echoing inside you like memories that were dormant, comment now, "I carry this energy," or "accept my essence." These words are not just comments. They are spiritual stamps, simple but powerful rituals, a sign that you are ready to remember, to assume, to vibrate at the frequency of your mission. And if you've been through mystical experiences, prophetic dreams, repetitive signs of the universe, or encounters that have changed your energy, share here in the comments. I want to read and feel along with you, because what comes next will activate your conscience even more, and you will understand that you are not here by chance. Don't waste more time living with this burden. Guarantee now your digital book, The 7 Hidden Spiritual Wounds of Your Zodiac Sign and How to Heal Them Before 2026, and find out how to apply these powerful teachings in your daily life. Attention, the stock is limited and is running out quickly. Click now and start your journey towards the trust you deserve. Scorpio did not come into the world to please. It did not come to be shaped by the expectations of others, nor to follow the patterns that drown out the soul and silence the spirit. Scorpion didn't come to be loved by everyone, and never needed it. It came to be recognized by those who see beyond the form, to be respected by the invisible forces, to be Temido, not for evil, but for the truth he carries in his eyes, skin, silence. Because where many see darkness, Scorpio sees the way. Where the world sees the end, he sees restraint. Where everyone turns the look, he fixes his, because he knows it is there, exactly there, that he lives what needs to be healed, faced, transmuted. Your pain was not in vain. No loss was random. No crisis happened by chance. Every tear you swallowed in silence, every night you thought of giving up, every moment when you had to pretend strength while breaking inside, it was all drawing your initiation. Because Scorpion is not forged in lightness, it is forged in the abyss. It is trained in the invisible. It is shaped by the evidence that crushes the ego but exalts the soul. This strength you have, this look that goes through, this presence that changes environments, none of this is a curse. It is spiritual seal. It is energy signature. It is the mark of those who have been chosen to carry what the world cannot bear to see. Have you noticed that everywhere you enter, things move, that people change their behavior, that truths shake, that feelings come to light? This is because you vibrate at a frequency that reveals, that active, that disarms what is superficial, and it bothers you. But don't be alarmed by this discomfort. He is just a sign that his energy is fulfilling his mission. Scorpion is not chaos. It is the awakening. It is the spiritual cleaning that precedes the new phase. It is thunder that precedes the cure. And as much as life tried to convince you that this intensity was a mistake, that you were too difficult, too exaggerated, too mysterious, today you already feel that this difference is exactly what makes you necessary on the spiritual plane. You are not here to fit. It is here to transform. You didn't come to repeat stories, came to break cycles, to heal wounds that have not started in you but end with you. And this is the greatest glory a soul can carry, to be the end point of a pain lineage. Scorpion is the sign of the portals, and you are the portal itself, one between worlds, one between times, one between realities. Your presence is not light, and it should not be. She is dense, she is old, she is sacred. She carries memories of lives where you have had to hide, where you had to silence, where you were judged for feeling too much, knowing too much, for seeing too much. But now, in this life, you didn't come to hide. You came to remember, to wake up, to honor this spiritual strength that, even in silence, pulsates inside you with a voice that says, you were never small, it was just sleeping, and now, you woke up. And with that you also wake up your mission, no more as a victim of intensity but as a guardian of transformation. Scorpio, the sign that carries what the world can't stand to see, the one who lives what others just study, he who feels what others try to ignore, he who knows what others pretend not to know. And that's why, despite the loneliness, despite the weight, despite the losses, this journey is worth it. Because she is real, she is deep, it is necessary. If you have felt this message on your chest, if at some point these words something inside you came on, comment now, I carry what the world can't stand to see, or my energy is spiritual seal. Write with presence, write with soul. It's not just a comment, it's a recognition ritual. It is a way of spiritually sealing this truth that already lives in you. And if this journey spoke with its essence, enjoy this video. Share with those who need to hear this. Subscribe to continue accessing truths that the world is not yet prepared to say, but that your soul is ready to hear. If you got here, it says a lot about who you are, because not everyone can support this frequency to the end. And if you felt this truth pulse inside your chest, then you are already part of the chosen ones. Enjoy now and subscribe to the channel, because this is just the beginning of your spiritual journey. Every week I bring content that doesn't go on the surface. We go straight into the soul. If you felt this video really touched you, leave your like now. This shows me that this type of content makes sense to you and helps me bring this message to more people who are also awakening. And to seal this moment, comment below, "I support this truth to the end." This comment is more than words. It is a presence ritual, a spiritual recognition, and it doesn't come out yet. On the left side of your screen is appearing the next video of our journey. Click there now and keep diving with us on this way of awakening. We see each other there.